pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Clark? Fredericks? Height?
Here.
Lindman?
Here.
Loretto? Here. Nedrow?
Here.
Snyder?
Here.
Thorne?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Okay. Brings us to approval of the agenda.
Well, do we want to excuse Mr. Clark and Mr. So who else did this one? Fredericks, yeah, Scott. Scott notified us on that.
Yeah.
Clark notified the office.
And Clark did too, so I motion that we excuse Mr. Clark and
I'll
Mr.
second.
Fredericks.
Okay, motion by Nedrow, second by Lemon. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Since they notified us.
That brings us to approval of the minutes from August 25th.
No, we didn't approve the agenda yet, right? We didn't approve the agenda, we just did, motion.
Oh,
to-
I'm sorry.
A motion to approve the agenda.
Yes,
How's that?
thank you.
Yeah.
Okey-doke, so motion by Nedrow to approve the agenda. Second by Moretto. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we're on to approval of the minutes.
I've got one change in the minutes.
Okey-doke.
And it was on page 5. Said whole table business, motion by Moretto, and she was missing.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
You were absent that night, so I can't remember who motioned that one.
What was the sum?
That was for appoint liaison to the
Oh, I
Parks.
think that was me.
Okay.
I think I made that motion.
Yep,
as I recall.
sounds fair. Not a big deal, I just thought
Yeah, good catch.
clarify things, because
Yeah, other than that,
Kathy wasn't here. so she couldn't have motioned it.
it was very lengthy minutes this time.
Communicated in spirit for him.
Okay, I would love to
Taking minutes
hear
that month
Yeah.
either.
No.
motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Snyder, second by
Lemon?
Lindman. Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have no public hearing or correspondence. It brings us to call to the public. Anybody in the public has something they'd like to say, stand up and state your name and address. And please be brief within under 5 minutes.
Seeing none?
Okay. No need to open or close. That brings us to new business item 1, conditional rezoning and special land use request for 2355 South Commerce. If you have had a chance, hopefully everybody has, to look at the packet. Our mission here tonight isn't to determine the ins and outs of this land use plan, but whether or not anything has changed to require a new hearing within the less than 2-year period that you would normally reapply.
Right, and the changes that I noted were the change in the operating hours, possibility of having one-way ingress, egress from the place, and the dimmable lighting. Significant changes. I don't know if those meet the threshold for...
And they didn't
We
have
have the
the
traffic report.
traffic report.
I think there was something also about the liquor.
Liquor.
Oh, and then
After 3
delaying that
years.
for 3 years, yeah, good point.
So is the change then not for the 2-year period, it's not as it relates to the use or the zoning, it's all encompassing, including,
The amount
I
of
guess,
information provided.
attributes. Information provided, okay.
That's the way I'm taking it.
So the problems that existed before still exist now. The fact that we would be spot zoning, the fact that it would not conform to our master plan or Walled Lake's master plan. So I'm not sure if anybody on the board thinks that the changes that were made are significant to make this issue be reheard. And if anybody on the board thinks that the changes that were made do deserve the entire thing to be reheard, then I'd like to hear what those are, so we can discuss. But as far as I can tell, none of the conditions have changed that why we originally, didn't let this go ahead in the first place.
Right.
The spot zoning, the nonconformity to planning master plan and Walled Lakes master plan. The recommendation from Carlisle Worthman, you should have it in your pack. Let's see here. Here we go. Is there new proof or evidence of change of condition that has been presented and is a valid reason for resubmitting this request sooner than the 2-year time frame required? I don't think so. So let's give our applicant a chance to address the situation. Welcome back, and please state your name.
Hi, good evening. My name is Clint Kesto. I represent the applicant here at 2355 South Commerce Road, right down the street here. And I think, in terms of your question, and I looked through the minutes and looked at the issues that were raised, and in those issues, yes, there were issues, I guess, regarding rezoning, but as I looked through the minutes, it was kind of indicative, and not just from the Planning Commission minutes, but also the village board's minutes, that there were the main issues, at least that were in the minutes, were issues regarding a liquor license and sales in terms of the competition, issues regarding environmental issues and how the tanks or whatever would be there would protect the environment. There were issues regarding lighting and noise, and there was issues regarding traffic. And I think, if I remember correctly, the issue when it was before the board, there was an attempt to adjourn it. However, because it was not made timely, they decided just to take the matter up and said, well, since you don't have the traffic study at this time. So some new items have come up in terms of the traffic study. Additionally, in terms of just the configuration of the property, due to certain issues regarding pedestrians walking or vehicular traffic coming in and out of that area, and it is a unique kind of land parcel, the ingress and egress in terms of having certain one-ways entry or exit, that would be substantially different. And additionally, in speaking with the village administrator and discussing the issue, there was the participation aspect, and certainly with the Oakland County Road Commission, if and when they decide to create a connector for a sidewalk for pedestrian traffic. So I think before you, in my reading of it, is that you do have enough to be able to take this up. Now, in terms of the merits, and I'll just go through those items, although I did memorialize them in a brief letter to address those issues. So we'll start with the liquor one, which I think was pretty large as I could see it in the minutes. And I know that there's a place, and I don't know if they have liquor or not, maybe they do, on South Commerce and Pontiac Trail there. Gas station, do they have liquor?
Yes.
Penny Lake. Penny Lake, and I think the gas station too.
Yeah, Market does.
The Marathon Station has liquor.
Right around the corner is Wolverine Lake Party Store, and maybe the 7-Eleven has liquor. I can't remember. So in terms of that, and I know that people sometimes look at it and say, oh, there's liquor here, there's liquor there. Really, what we're trying to do is put a facelift on this place, be able to provide the service of fuel, and moving forward also efficient energy in terms of charging stations and whatnot. So we're doing this dual component, which is also new. That was not in the original application. And looking at that, I think from the alcohol perspective, our liquor is not my client's major kind of gripe with this. Sure, it would be great because it's an added item to be able to sell and have profitability and sustainability. But we're looking, my client is in the fuel industry, and that's his motivation. Of course, from a beer and wine standpoint, we would love to have that. That's an added sale. But our liquor is not our shtick here. And if that's something, what I proposed as a condition is take a look at us and see how we're doing, see how the pedestrian traffic is in the evenings, see how it is in terms of vehicular traffic coming in and out. Are there any issues with noise and, people causing a commotion because of alcohol sales? And in the meantime, we would limit ourselves from any spirit sales from an SDD license if you would allow us to do an SDM, which is just simply beer and wine, as a convenience for those coming in. And as an added condition, if that presents an issue, then we would love to revisit it and have the discussion of if the village does not want any alcohol, certainly we'd be willing to consider making that a condition. Again, my client is in the fuel industry. He bought the parcel years ago. In speaking with Chief Ellsworth, he indicates to me that it used to be a gas station, but that's before records were even taken down. So I can only take him for what he remembers, as he knows everything that's happened here. But since then, I moved to Commerce in 2005. I can't remember if it was anything at that time, but certainly in the last 10 years or so, it hasn't been anything at all. It's just been vacant, sitting there. So we're here coming in to say we want to be partners with with the village, and be able to change the appearance of it. The second issue was the environmental issues, and I attached a letter. And environmental issues always present themselves from a standpoint that even in Commerce over at Carroll Lake in South Commerce, I think it was. There was, I believe, a gas station many years ago that ended up having a leak. But if we look at the technology of today, how the storage for fuel is, the safety and the inspections and all the gadgets and the widgets that they have, the sensors and whatnot, we're certainly going to have state-of-the-art type of tanks that would alleviate any concerns from the environment. If there are other conditions that this board would want, we'd be certainly entertain them and see how we can remove any issues that you would believe are environmental. And moving forward, along in the same lines, we certainly would have, and they are out there today, the slow, I shouldn't say slow, they're probably still fairly quick, charging stations, and then there's the super fast charging stations that you can get your electric vehicle charged within 2 to 5 minutes. And my client is installing those in some of his locations now where the right market is, because it's market dependent. But certainly in this market, we see electric vehicles all the time. And families are buying multiple electric vehicles, and I don't know what their charging stations look like and whether they need a quick boost or not. Certainly kids at the school may need that access. And that's something new that is being presented, which also is encompassing in terms of providing a service for the community. I remember seeing in the notes that people had issues with lights and potential noise. And again, technology today, lights can be dimmed. They could be dimmed in certain areas. And certainly, not just the dimming aspect, but certainly in the front, you would probably want it well lit so people can see. And we would go through whatever codes or whatever advice from the building or electrical, whoever it may be, to make sure that the neighborhood is satisfied, but also from a public safety aspect that the front is well lit. On top of that, in terms of any nuisance or lighting or whatever it may be, we would limit our hours. I don't think the issue is so much in the morning. People are up, they want to get to work, they want to fuel and be on their way. So I don't think that the morning issue time, whether it be 5 or 6 or 7, can't find employees these days. So that's an issue there that my client would have to deal with in terms of getting people there in the morning. But in the evening, in order to prevent any issues of nuisance, any issues of loitering, any people coming in, hey, let me get my last little beer, or I'm a little tipsy, let me drive in here at this time, or just congregation in the evening. Sometimes you see that at certain places. We've restricted our hours and limited them. I believe in my letter I put 10 o'clock.
11 on weekends.
Maybe 11 on weekends. And certainly, as we know nowadays, in terms of the season, it does get dark. But, in midsummer, I think it doesn't even get dark until 10, or nearly 10 o'clock. So we're putting that in there so that you can see we want to be partners here. We want to be a part of the village, and we want to take that parcel and property and really rehab it and make it look like a nice place when you're driving by instead of the eyesore that it is today. Traffic issues, we did conduct a traffic study. We went through row services. As I look at it, I think the increase in traffic is really negligible. I believe they had indicated 6, let's find what page it's on. That way I'm not just talking out of turn. Six more trips during the AM peak hour, 22 more trips during the PM peak hour. That's on the last page in her conclusions that she came up with. And, I look at it, it's fairly negligible. It's minimal. It's 6 in the morning, 22 in the evening. Not that much in terms of traffic. Additionally, we would like to, as speaking with the administrator, he mentioned that Oakland County Road Commission, when they get around to it, is looking to have connectors into the pathways and the trails, and we certainly want to be partners and have pedestrian sidewalk for safety reasons, plus aesthetically, it would look a lot better to be able to have, some grass, a sidewalk, and then more grass, and then the parking area where the folks would be coming in and fueling their vehicles. And again, in terms of what your considerations should be, I believe we've had enough support in terms of changing how the site would really operate, from traffic ways and lighting situations. And I believe, as in reading the minutes, alcohol seemed to be a huge concern. If I remember in some of the minutes, there were concerns like, there's all these locations. That was 1. People are driving and drinking. That was 2. And then, we have these good partners in our community already. We don't want to hurt their business. And I can appreciate all those arguments. And I believe by limiting our hours, by having a condition that we don't have spirit sales, and just SDM license, which is beer and wine, I think that can alleviate much concern. And if really for this board, or this commission and the board, if overall alcohol is an issue, then I'm happy to, my client is here, I think he would entertain the idea that if we could just, he's in the fuel business, not on the alcohol side, and we can look at that consideration. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, I think at the last time they were looking for a traffic study. There wasn't one available at the time. I was not on the matter in terms of assisting and counseling and as their attorney at that time until recently, maybe about after it happened. So I'm here before you saying, I know it is rezoning, and I know it may not be generally what you were looking for that location, but I think you also have the ability to take a look and say, what can it be? And over the past decade, it hasn't been anything. It's just been sitting there with the stilts and the building crumbling away and the parking lot crumbling away. And what we'd like to do is come to you and say, we're ready to make the improvements. I know it's a gas station, and sometimes people may have a bad rub about that, but at least it'll be a building that is occupied, a building that is refaced, and a parking lot that's, well-commissioned, an area that people can, from the community, can say, I have a convenient spot. And boy, out here, nothing's really convenient to fuel. But this would at least be an opportunity for folks. And we'd love to be partners. My client would love to be a partner here with the village, and we're happy to be that partner and be a good partner. Love to answer any questions if you have any.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, the report's very thorough.
Okay, personally, I think you guys have done a fantastic job. The diagrams, drawings, everything looks, top notch. Nobody in their city wants an empty lot,
Sure.
Of course, we want to have something there generating sales and taxes and all that stuff. But even though you guys have addressed these problems, which were important problems, the biggest hurdles, in my opinion, are the spot rezoning, because then they're like, oh, well, look, you rezoned for them, why don't you rezone, we want this here and this there. The people of that area don't want to live next door to a gas station, that it's a quiet corner, and the corner itself is extremely dangerous. If you come around that corner, all the people turning on the deck will pull out because they can't see you yet. And then you're there and they have to quick hurry to turn. To add other people pulling in and out of there from fueling and stuff like that, it's just going to add to the mess. And the major hurdles, you guys have done an excellent job. I mean, I think it's fantastic. But the major hurdles that we objected to before are still there, and I know that the tanks nowadays are not going to leak, or we wouldn't, have gas stations anywhere, But like the same problems, the spot rezoning, the fact that it just doesn't fit our master plan on either side for either city, and that the people that live in that area themselves, came out in droves to voice their opinion last time about how upset they would be to have that happen, even though you guys have made like the most beautiful, gas station store that I've ever seen, It just doesn't seem to fit that dang corner. We want something on that corner, but it just doesn't seem to be the right spot for a gas station. I mean, I just wish that you guys could come up with like an office plan or a veterinarian or anything, but like a gas station, I think is the most objectable thing,
Yeah. If I
Sure,
may
go right
respond.
ahead.
I understand the argument of spot zoning and then selecting a location for it, but I'd like you to also, and I appreciate the community's response, at least what I gathered from the minutes, though, were mostly on a lot of these issues, the lighting and the alcohol and late hours, the issues that come with those. And we're happy to reduce any of those issues by limiting the hours and changing. As far as the traffic issue, I'll give you this example. There's a gas station over on 12 Mile and Orchard Lake on the southwest corner. And he had called me, and he's having issues with the commission kind of changing the driveway in terms of ingress and egress and which location it's going to be in. And the reason I bring that up is that even though, and that's a super busy corner, as we all know, and there's, the way the lights turn, there's some accidents that come out at that time and people getting on the expressway. But there's ways that through Oakland County Road Commission and through the certain traffic studies that we're able to take that tension out, and they have figured it out. That gentleman obviously doesn't want to change anything, but they have said, okay, here's where it really should be. So in terms of this, we're happy to, and if you would indulge us and maybe give us an opportunity to do it, we can look at what is through some engineering, traffic engineering, whether it be through the road commission or road services or whoever it might be that is able to then indicate to you. Because I thought that road services did a great job in showing here's where the traffic kind of needs to stream in and out. And we could work to assure you that it will be a safe corner, rounded corner for the traffic. There was one other thing that you brought up. Oh, in terms of spot zoning and the rezoning. And what can this place be? I think we've had some really great years over the past decade. And yet this, not a vet and not a bank and not, an attorney's office, nothing has come over there to take the property and say this will be a great place for A, B, or C. And I think as the Planning Commission, you could take a look at those when you're looking at rezoning a parcel to get its best use. It may not be the best use that we would like, but it may be the best use for that location. And I don't even want to say like the best use for that location, but a willing participant to make it a good use and to transform the property into something better. So I think from that perspective, if you look at it, yes, I get it. Sure, you're going to rezone. What's the next person going to say? But if in the past 10 years, when markets have been great, properties have been great, opportunities have been abound, and people are out there buying things up and opening things and being successful, that has just been sitting there up until the last year or so when my client purchased it to be able to do this. I think you can look at that as the commission and say, okay, well, what are we going to do with it then if it just sits there? Because he's in the fuel business, he's not in the vet business or the retail development business, and he saw it as an opportunity to bring it to that location as convenience and as a rehabilitation project to be able to make it look better. That's just my comment on that.
I think while I think you bring up good points, I agree with Tom. My view, I've got maybe a couple things to add, but the master plan was just updated, and so all the properties were looked at, and it was deemed that should be zoned office with a low intensity, specifically, and low intensity because that area between the village and Walled Lake, that's the highest density of residential in the entire area, if you were to take it. So putting a high-intensity business in the middle of our highest density residential is a problem for me, and that's where it meets with the master plan. I agree with spot zoning, and whether it's on the township side or the village side, that is precedent setting, and I think it would be dangerous. Even if you got past all of that, though, you would still have to come back here for special land use. And the first criteria for special land use is an immediate and documented need. And we've got 2 gas stations less than a mile away from that location. And we have numerous convenience stores within a mile or less of that location. I don't think you can ever get past the immediate and documented need argument, as well as the other 7 that you'd have to get to get through special land use for it. So I think of anything that could go there, whether it was office or residential or anything. A gas station with a party store, a convenience store, would probably be the worst possible business that we would want to see there. And I hate to say that because I drive past that every day, and would love to see something that made it look more aesthetic. But that business to me is the wrong business for that location within the village. And again, those 2 primary, and I know we're probably not allowed, Sally could tell me, we're probably not allowed to address special land use yet because the other hoops, the rezoning or spots zoning hasn't gone through. But I just don't see an end to this, and I'd hate to see your client sink more money into a project that probably just doesn't have a real chance of happening. In my
It's
opinion.
just not the right fit for that area.
Yeah, in terms of distance, and I looked it up, the Wolverine Lake Party Shop is 0.9 miles, and the other gas station is 1.2 miles away. Certainly, we can visualize some things that are there, but they also haven't materialized. So nobody's, and here's the thing, the money has to come with the idea. And so far, I don't know if anyone else has proposed anything in the past decade or so, saying, hey, I got this great spot. And I get it, it's a gas station, we'd love to see a Starbucks would be nice, right? Or a nice residential unit, multifamily unit, or whatever it may be. But none of those have come. And so, I just say that in light of what has happened in times that were really good. And they always talk about a recession, on the cusp of a recession, and who knows what happens with property values at that point. But right now, there is somebody who's saying, I'm willing to take the chance and put the money up front for this idea. And again, the master plans change, zoning changes, best use and immediate need, I guess if it's populated, Mr. Weber, maybe there is a need. If it's the highest dense area, maybe they want a little convenient spot to fill up. But point being is, I think my client is willing to make what needs to be done in terms of conditions in order for the project to happen, because that's his business, that's what he does, and that's why we came with multiple conditions. And no one else has come to do anything with the property.
Can I offer, can you hear me? Is this working?
Yes, please go ahead.
I just want to offer a little process input here. You all have heard from the applicant, and you're kind of having a nice conversation back and forth. But you will really need to decide if, first of all, is there enough information here that generates the need or justifies the need to reopen this? So you really need to kind of make a formal decision about that. And then secondly, if you do think that is the correct way to go, then your next step is going to be to have a public hearing. So you would have to schedule a public hearing to hear from residents to see if, as you've determined, this kind of revised proposal is, what the residents are going to have to say about that. And then you would make a recommendation to the village council, and then the village council would make the final decision. But,
So the public hearing that happened last time doesn't count for the public hearing?
That's right.
They would have to have another one?
yes, because the village council denied that proposal.
Okay.
So that's kind of done and gone, and we're starting over, and so you would have to have another public hearing.
Gotcha.
So do we take a vote on whether we're yay or nay individually, or do we motion to council what we recommend, or?
Well, you first need, and I would suggest you do vote on whether or not additional information justifies, looking at this rezoning earlier than the 2-year time frame. So I would recommend that you vote on that. And then, depending on how that goes, if you all agree, yes, it's different enough and it meets the standards in the ordinance to allow it to happen before the 2-year time frame, then your next step would be to have a public hearing, hold a public hearing. And then after you hear from residents, so the public hearing would happen at a future meeting, and then once you hear from residents, then you would discuss the proposal, discuss, the new conditions that the applicant is offering, and then you would make a recommendation to village council. So tonight, the only thing you would do is decide on that 2-year time frame issue, and depending on that, decide to schedule a public hearing or not.
So if we were to do that, at least it would give the opportunity for this landowner to present their case again to the village with the new conditions, so it's more than just us kind of making that decision, but we're taking their input as well. Right? Did I hear that right?
It will give the property owner the ability to hear from residents in relationship to this new proposal. Yes, I would agree with that. But I really do think that you need to do that first step and really make sure that you feel like whatever has been provided meets the criteria in the ordinance. And I did, on page... Sorry, it's on page 2. I knew it was early. It says, "No application for a map amendment, which is a rezoning, which has been denied by the village council shall be resubmitted for a period of 2 years from the date of order of denial, except," and this is what you're deciding, "on the grounds of new evidence or proof of change of condition found to be valid by the planning commission and the village council." So that's your criteria right there for deciding whether or not to allow this to be taken up before the 2-year time frame.
Yeah.
So what's the definition of change of condition found? Is that so forgive me if I wasn't here the last time, so I'm forgive my ignorance in some of this, but if the condition was master planning and spot rezoning, if those were the primary criteria, has that...
Hasn't changed in my
Right,
opinion.
and none of the main hurdles have changed, which is terrible for the guys. But I would hate to call another public hearing and have the people all come out and voice the same concerns they had before and go through the whole thing all over again when nothing major has changed. I mean, the things that you have changed were good changes, but the main hurdles haven't changed. So I would like to take a vote. I'm not sure if we do a roll call vote. Yeah?
So is your thought process to not discuss this because, or revert back to the 2-year window and then give the applicant time to whether he wants to come back or not?
For example, let's say it wasn't a gas station now, it was, they got a doctor, a dentist that was going in, or something like that. You know, that would be something that,
Material, yeah.
you know, would, I think, reopening the, you know, thing over. But since the people that live around there are still gonna be upset with that, with this proposal, and that's only one of the issues. So, like I said, you know, it's wonderful what you guys have done. It's like awesome and everything else like that, but I don't think that the people in the area are ever going to be happy with the gas station going in there.
And we're looking at rezoning that to
Spot,
commercial
yeah.
use. That's what we're looking at right now tonight.
Right.
That's what's before us.
Well,
So
actually,
we're-
tonight is just, do we let them move forward or
Yes.
not?
Yeah.
Within
Whether
the-
they presented
or do we have
enough
to wait 6
information
months?
that we feel that there's a change in what was presented as far as rezoning that property
Yeah.
from office to commercial.
Well, and George's point of the, you know, to do that, we have to have a compelling reason. They have to offer something that the community would demand, as it were, that isn't demanded right now.
Well, for the
They can't get
special
somewhere
use,
else out for the special use. So I
And
don't know
just-
how that hurdle gets.
Just so you know, the denial was on the June 9th, 2021 meeting, so that would then, on June 9th in 2023, which is 8 months from
7
now.
months, yeah.
7 or 8 months from now, you could come back, and that, you know,
Yeah.
that criteria would no longer be in play.
Yeah, the 2-year piece.
Yeah, I think ultimately, though, what it sounds like, and is that in terms of your first issue of voting on whether there is substantial new information, yeah, it's the same project, but with very different characteristics now. Traffic study, ingress, egress, change of lighting issues, hours of operation, the alcohol issue changing. So I think there are about 4, 5, 6 actual changes.
There has been some changes.
Well, yeah, excellent
So,
changes,
in
but I
terms
mean,
of-
not the major hurdle changes that are going to make it different. You know, I don't want to drag you guys through a public hearing again and all that when I know what the outcome's going to be.
No, I get it. And I think from that standpoint, though, I would just try to indicate, at least on that portion of what council is saying, is that are there enough changes? I don't think there was a definition of exactly what that means, but I think that there are enough changes for you to indicate that there should be move along to the next step of discussion. In the event that you don't, though, as we kind of talked even conversationally about the merits of the application and the type of use, as a gas station, whether it's this public hearing, let's say you vote, yes, there's enough new stuff, let's have a public hearing on, or let's have more consideration, whether it's, probably would take a couple months anyway. I'd imagine with the holidays, we probably wouldn't even be here until January. But be that as it may, even in June, I think we're going to be at the same spot of having a public hearing on this with the same residents. And I think from my client's standpoint, we'd at least like to know so that he knows what to do with the property also. So I just asked, I'd indicate, I believe there's enough information that is new, and then we can also move forward.
Yeah, the next step to moving forward is calling a public hearing. And not all the people are going to come back with the same objections that they had before, but they're going to probably come back angrier because they just went through that a year ago. So I personally don't see any reason to go to the next step to the public hearing and make you guys come back and have them all come back and voice the concerns that they just voiced a year ago, because the liquor and the traffic study weren't the major hurdles. I mean, those are great, that you guys addressed those and everything, but that's not what was, causing it. But that's just my opinion, but I am ready to take a vote, and I think we should do a roll call vote on that, if that's what you would recommend, Sally?
That's probably a good idea.
Okay. So we're really not supposed to get into it until we do that step, but, yeah.
So I guess the motion would be to, you could do it in the affirmative, or you could do it, I guess, in the negative. It's probably better to do it in the
Negative.
affirmative and say that there's enough different information presented that justifies, that there's evidence of a change found by the Planning Commission to rehear the proposed rezoning. Something to that effect. I don't mean to put words in your mouth.
Well, thank you, that helps, for sure. Anybody want to try and put that together as a motion?
What she
So
said.
basically she's saying, I propose a motion that all in favor that there has been enough evidence.
Go ahead, George, I think you got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to, let me find this language here. I'll make a motion that there is enough evidence of proof of change of condition to allow the applicant to resubmit for conditional rezoning at 2355 South Commerce Road.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Weber, a second by Lindman. Are we going to do a roll call vote?
I think so.
Okay, Tabitha, if you would not mind.
Lindman,
No.
Moretto,
No.
Nedra,
No.
Schneider,
No.
Thorne,
No.
Weber,
Can I vote no if I made a motion for
Sure.
the affirmative? Okay, I would vote no as well. And I think that's the best thing for the applicant, to give them more time.
Okay, so,
Motion's denied.
motion's denied, yeah.
or the motion failed.
Or failed, yeah.
Right. But thank you guys for your efforts and your time.
Thank you. I want to make on the property owner, I want to mention something. I listed the property 3 months ago for sale. We haven't got one phone call on it. Okay, that's just to let you know how important that property is in the city. You can allow us to do what we want to do there.
Understand.
Thank you.
Understand.
Okay, that brings us to new business item 2, appoint board member and liaison to Parks and Rec, Water Management, and ZBA for 2023. It's a 1-year
Appointment.
reappointment, yes. Is everybody happy with where they're at, and are we missing any liaisons still? I think we don't.
Still Park and Rec.
Parks and Rec, yeah.
I'm happy with where I'm at.
Trying to get me since I started. I moved in.
Guys,
Well-
I thought about it, but
Oh, there you go.
I got township board, I'm on township planning, and I meet twice a month with the township Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I'm tapped out.
Okay, well, we could at least reappoint the people that, if they're still willing, for ZBA and water management.
Yes?
Yeah. Yes, okay. I'll hear a motion that we recommend Kathy Moretto and, let's see,
Paul Snyder.
Paul Snyder continue on as Parks and, or I'm sorry, Water Management and ZBA liaisons. If we can do them both at once, or...
Sure.
Yeah.
Motion or second, whatever.
Okay. We've got, let's see here, a motion by Thorne. Who was the second?
Well, I'll second it.
Okay, second by Snyder.
Seconding himself.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries.
With
Thank you for your support on that. That's very helpful.
We do have 2 people that aren't here that we could nominate for
Yes.
the Parks.
Well, actually, Jim was on Parks and Rec before, and he didn't have enough time to do it, and Scott was on Parks and Rec before also. And so neither one of them wanted to step up again, so.
Should we have done item 4 before item 3?
Well, I think that'll probably be okay. I was going to mention
Still going
that.
to do this right?
We'll have to worry about that if we don't motion number 4 there
Right.
first.
Okay. That
think it's a
brings
slam
us
dunk.
Right.
to new business item 3, appoint a board member as chairman, vice chairman, and secretary for 2023. If I'm willing to go again, if you are,
Yeah, I'm willing to
Brian.
do vice chairman again, sure.
Secretary is, who is our secretary? Paul, yeah. So.
Assuming we put him on the number 4 again.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Number 4 is pretty
We're
good.
going to lose 2 positions here if we don't.
That's right. Three. Get him on the phone first.
Yeah, 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to appoint Tom Height as chairperson, Brian Lundman as vice chair, and Paul Snyder as secretary for 2023.
I'll
I second.
Go ahead. Kathy's got it.
Alrighty, motion by Lemon, second by Moretto, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Now, here's the important
All
one.
right. Item 4.
Don't do this to me, we're on TV.
Planning Commission, 3-year term, expiration 12/31.
See, do we really want to do this?
I would motion that we re-elect Paul Snyder to the Planning Commission for a 3-year term, expiring in 2025.
I second.
All right, motion by Height, second by Moretto, all in favor?
I need a roll call, please. It's a
Oh,
recommendation.
thank you. Okay. Thank you, Tabitha.
Lindman,
Yes.
Moretto,
Yes.
Nedra,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey,
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
thank
feel
you.
wanted.
we just saved a bunch of extra work for us.
Okay, that brings us to item 5, reschedule/cancel meeting dates for November and December. November,
Thanksgiving, so we
Well,
need to
I
cancel
guess,
the
we have
November.
anything that we really have to discuss
Anything
at this
coming?
point?
yeah, there's nothing hot coming up anyway.
So I think we need to cancel November and then maybe pull ahead by a week the December one, and then if we don't have much on the agenda, we'll cancel it before the meeting. I think it's kind of the way to do it.
I think
Agreed.
that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay.
All right, so what is the week before our normal December
15th.
meeting? The 15th?
Is that a Thursday?
December,
That's
yes,
a
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Thursday.
Oh, is it?
December,
Oh, the 15th? Yes. For December?
Yes.
Is it Thursday?
Yes, it is, yeah,
Okay, I can do it.
December 15th.
15th.
Yeah.
All right, so
Thursday.
I'd love to hear a motion to cancel the November meeting and move the December meeting to the 15th.
I'll make a motion to cancel the November meeting and move the December meeting to December 15th.
Support?
Okay, motion by Weber, second by Snyder, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. We have no pending business. Old tabled business is not going to come off the table for...
Parks and Rec issue again.
Yeah, so that brings us to liaison reports, council.
Okay, we had a meeting.
All right.
We had our crack sealing program go forward. Water Management Board recommended to delay lake drawdown until the 31st of October, which
Yay.
is going down a little bit anyway, just naturally, but,
Yeah.
and we will get it down before December 1 when we need to have it down by. And incidentally, we're going to go down an extra, I think it's, what is it, about a foot, maybe a foot and a half this year?
Oh, wow.
Really? Wow.
What's the,
No.
maybe she has the water board guy.
What's that?
What's the
It's not-
reason? What's
Huh?
the reason? for
Well,
going down
they
another
want, we
foot?
need to clean out the tube
Okay.
over in Penny Lake.
I think it's 6 inches.
6 inches, maybe?
less.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
It won't be much.
I know it's gonna, whatever we need to get down to get down to,
Yeah, get that.
get the tube cleaned out. But there won't be any problem with that water coming back up in the spring anyway,
You
so.
mean the culvert under
Yeah.
Shankin?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. That's been plugged up for a number of years now. And we had a contractor lined up to do it, I think, what was it, 2 years ago? And then last year, I think it was too late before, and the frost laws came into effect before they could do it. So that was delayed again, and this year, so we are going to hammer it out this year, finally. And then we had fish stocking. We put 138 pounds of flathead minnows and 130 pounds of shiner minnows in for feeder fish.
Nice.
So they decided that was a good way to go this year. And essentially, that was about it. Pecking party, incidentally, had that last Saturday, and it was down people-wise, and down material-wise, but we ended up packing 622 boxes, and we still have more stuff to pack yet, so. And incidentally, there's 1,000 National Guard reservists that were deployed from Michigan this year.
Wow.
So we were hoping most of those boxes were going to go to those Michigan people. 1,000 bags of Better Made potato chips. So, yeah, there was some good stuff. It was fun.
well, what do they put in the boxes?
Anything we get. Yeah. I just want to remind everybody that get out and vote November 8th. Got a lot of important issues. A transportation issue for Oakland County's on it, which the village is not going to get a whole lot of benefit out of, except for we're going to get hit for taxes another 9.5 mils. For 10 years.
I don't know if I mentioned it last time, just Commerce Township, including the village, is going to be an incremental $2.4 million
Yep.
in taxes.
It's going to cost the village about $200 the first year, and then go up from there probably.
That's going to go to Oakland County to spend, and we'll get
Virtually no.
People's Express, we door-to-door, we provide door-to-door service.
Door-to-door right now, yep.
And its total budget for the township, excluding smart credits, is $140,000 that we're meeting.
And we're
all of the
collectively
needs.
funding that.
Do it together, yeah.
Yep.
This is just unbelievable
Yeah.
that they're jamming this down our throats.
Yep. So, in addition to that, we have 5 people running for 4 council spots, so get out and vote. That's all I've got.
All right, thanks, Brian. Okey dokey, that brings us to Parks and Rec, which we
We
don't
have
have a
none.
report on. How about ZBA?
They were set to have a meeting, it was last week, and we had not enough people there for a quorum, so
Okey doke.
we pushed it off to next month.
That was the Glengarry that was supposed to be on there.
We're not going to quorum in November either.
Yeah, with hunting season.
All righty, that brings us to Water Management Board. Mr. Schneck?
Well, while I wasn't there at the last one they had, the one before that, since we hadn't met since then anyway, one of the things we proposed, and I talked with David about it, was the getting a SAD that we just build, have that set to where they'll keep names in the village offices of people that want to participate. There's always construction going on, so the water board thought it might not be the worst idea to get a rotating name. Just have a list. Whenever we get enough, we try to make our move. Still the goal to get everybody on the septic system, sanitary septic. And we just been reviewing goals. We did like the late drawdown last year. People really liked it, and it was kind of by accident because the new launch was going in, so, that kind of spurred that. So it looks like it's going okay. Well, I don't think we're going to get the frost issue that, it's not going to freeze over before we can get the job done, so. Other than that.
It's Michigan.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, right. That's all I really have.
It was 70 the other day.
Yeah,
I
I'll have
know.
to say, I really like the delayed drawdown.
Yeah.
It's given us a couple extra weeks of our boating season, which is short already.
Yeah.
And it always seems like when we have to time the boat removal to when we know the water level is going to be too shallow for us to have a boat there anymore.
Right.
We missed some really nice days like we
Yeah.
had this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
All right, thank you, Paul. Any announcements? Okay, we'll hear a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
By Pedro, second by Linman. All in favor? Aye. I thank you, everybody, for volunteering your time. We appreciate your dedication and service.